Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going deep into the wild world of insults.
Insults. That sounds kind of mean-spirited, no.
Well, that's what we're going to find out. We're diving into the top 10 funniest insults list from the Top 10's website. You know that site where people vote on top 10 lists for just about anything?
Ah, yes, I've seen some of those. Pretty random stuff. So, are we trying to figure out if insults can actually be funny?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is it all about being mean, or
Yeah.
can an insult be clever, witty, maybe even make you laugh?
I'm intrigued. Let's see what these top-rated insults reveal.
All right, let's jump in. I'm already seeing some patterns here. First, we have those observational insults. You know, the ones that poke fun at someone's looks, how smart they are, or even their social status.
Classic roast material. I bet those get a lot of laughs. Or groans, depending on who you ask.
Speaking of groans, here's one from the list. You're so poor, I saw you kicking a can across the street. I asked you what you were doing, and you said moving.
Okay, I have to admit, there's a certain dark humor to that. Exaggerated for sure, but that's part of what makes it funny, right?
Right, it's the absurdity of it. But it makes you think, why is poverty such a frequent target of humor?
That's a good point. Is it a reflection of societal values, maybe? Like we put so much emphasis on wealth that those who lack it become easy targets.
That's an interesting perspective, almost like using humor to deflect some underlying anxieties about social and economic inequality.
Exactly. Maybe laughter helps us cope with those uncomfortable realities. But speaking of uncomfortable, we have to address the elephant in the room, or should I say the mama in the joke.
Oh, you mean the yo mama jokes? Yeah, those are definitely a category of their own.
This list has a classic. Yo mama's so ugly, when she looked in the mirror, her reflection walked away.
Timeless. But some people find those hilarious, and others, well, not so much. It's a fine line between funny and offensive.
It's a tightrope walk, for sure. But why do you think Yo Mama jokes have stuck around for so long? They've been around forever, haven't they?
Right. It's more than just shock value, I think. There's something about that shared experience of, well, having a mother that makes it universally relatable, even if it's based on stereotypes.
It's like a cultural shorthand. We all get it, even if we don't admit it. But let's move on to a category that's maybe a little less controversial. The absurd and creative insults.
Ah, yes. Those are my favorites. Pure imagination and wordplay. The ones that catch you completely off guard.
Like this one. Hey, I just met you and you look crazy. What brand's your makeup? Crayola, maybe?
Oh, that's good. It's so unexpected and playful, you're not really insulting their looks, but their makeup skills.
Right. It's more about the clever comparison than actual meanness.
Exactly. It's like a mental puzzle disguised as a joke. And then there's the category of polite but cutting insults. Those are a special kind of art form.
Ah, yes, the subtle dig. The list includes, I'm busy now, can I ignore you some other time?
So polite, yet so savage. How can you even be mad at that?
It's like they acknowledged you but dismissed you at the same time. Brilliant.
It's that unexpected twist. We expect politeness, so when it's used as a weapon, it's both funny and disarming.
It definitely makes you think twice about the power of language, doesn't it?
For sure. These insults are like little windows into our social norms, insecurities, and the ways we use humor to navigate all of it.
It's more than just making fun of someone, it's a reflection of us, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we've only just scratched the surface of what makes these insults tick.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about like how these insults, well, they're almost like social commentary, even if it's unintentional.
Ooh, I like that. Like they're giving us a peek into what makes us tick, our fears and anxieties all wrapped up in a joke.
Exactly. Why is it that so many of these insults pick on people for being poor or unattractive?
Yeah, those are common themes for sure. Maybe it's because we as a society place so much value on wealth and appearance.
It could be. Like those traits are seen as flaws or something. And insults, they often exploit those deep-seated insecurities, which is probably why they can sting so much.
But then some of these insults, they go beyond just poking at insecurities. They go full-on absurd, which somehow makes them even funnier.
Absolutely. Take this one, for instance. Hey, I looked up hobo in the dictionary, and guess what? The definition was you.
Oh man, I love that one. It's so ridiculous, and yet there's something so clever about it.
Right. It takes something so ordinary, like looking up a word, and turns it into this totally unexpected and surreal comparison.
And it's funny because it's so out there. One user even commented on that one saying it was funny because it's true. Like they were owning the insult, turning it into a badge of honor or something.
There's something kind of charming about that, right? Like embracing the absurdity takes the sting out of the insult.
Totally. It's like they're saying, yeah, maybe I am a hobo, but at least I'm a funny one. Which actually brings us to another point about these insults. They're creative, they're adaptable, language is constantly changing, and humor, well, it changes right along with it.
And the newcomers and contenders sections of the list, those really highlight that. It's like you see these fresh, current insults that are pushing the boundaries of what's considered acceptable, you
It's
know?
this one. You're so bad at singing, you make Dance Monkey look like Bohemian Rhapsody. So topical.
Right. It brings in a recent pop culture reference, making the insult instantly relatable, at least for now.
And then there's this contender. The only way you'll ever get laid is if you crawl up a chicken's ass and wait. Okay, now that one's just out there. I don't even know how to respond to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise testing that theory, but it definitely shows how powerful shock value can be in humor, even if it's not for everyone.
Which goes back to that idea we talked about earlier. Humor is subjective. What one person finds hilarious, another might find offensive or just plain weird.
Exactly. It all depends on context, who's telling the joke, who's hearing it. There's a fine line to walk.
And what's funny can change so much over time, too. Jokes that were hilarious decades ago, well, they might be totally unacceptable today, and vice versa.
It's a reminder that humor is constantly evolving. It's a reflection of our times, you know? A way to deal with anxieties, challenge what's normal, and connect with others through laughter. Even when it's absurd or maybe a little offensive, it can tell us a lot about who we are as a society.
It's amazing how something as simple as a joke, an insult even, can be so multi-layered and complex. It's like peeling back an onion. There's always another layer to uncover.
We've only just dipped our toes into the psychology of humor, how wordplay works, the art of comedic timing. There's a whole universe of insights to uncover when we look at something as universal as laughter.
So as we keep going through these top-ranked insults, I think it's important to keep in mind that big question. What makes an insult funny instead of just plain mean? It's a question that's stumped philosophers and comedians for centuries.
There might not be one right answer, but I think searching for it is what keeps humor fresh, engaging, and, well, eternally fascinating.
Now let's see what other gems this list has to offer. Each insult is like a little snapshot of the human psyche, a testament to the power of language to amuse, to wound, and maybe even to enlighten. You know, going through this list, I'm noticing something. A lot of these insults, they really go after someone's intelligence, or lack of it, I should say.
Yeah, that's a pretty common theme, isn't it? Like using intelligence as ammo.
Totally. And this one here is a prime example. I would ask you how old you are, but I know you can't count that high.
Oh, that's brutal. Hits you twice, age and smarts.
Right. Plays on those old stereotypes about, older folks being slower mentally and younger people struggling with math.
It's interesting how insults often lean on stereotypes like that. They tap into these societal biases to make a point, even if it's not a particularly nice one.
Yeah. But I don't think all insults about intelligence are, totally rooted in insecurity or anything. Sometimes they can be clever, like a fun way of pointing out someone's bad logic.
I see what you mean. Like, the humor comes from exposing the faulty reasoning, not just putting someone down for their intellect.
Exactly. It's more about wit than being mean.
Yeah.
But then you have insults like, oh my God, look at you. Was anyone else hurt in the accident?
That one definitely feels more like, the person saying it is insecure themselves, like they're deflecting.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like they're saying, hey, I might be messed up, but at least I don't look like that.
Totally. It makes you think about, the motivation behind these insults, Is it all just for laughs? Or is there something deeper going on?
It's probably a bit of both, honestly. Take this insult. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I give you the impression that I wanted your opinion? It won't happen again. That feels more like a power play to me, like trying to shut someone down.
Ugh, I know that type. All dripping with that fake apology, which makes it somehow even worse.
Right. But the humor there, it might come from breaking social norms. Like, we expect people to value each other's opinions, so when that's completely ignored, it's kind of shocking and funny at the same time. It's like a little rebellion against the rules, all wrapped up in a sarcastic joke. And it's interesting, a lot of users on the top 10s actually praise that insult, calling it sharp and to the point. Like there's something satisfying about seeing someone being put in their place, even if it's through an insult.
Yeah, I get that. It's about establishing a hierarchy, knowing who's right and who's wrong, even if it's just for the sake of a joke.
So we've looked at insults that go after looks, smarts, social standing, and even those that are just plain absurd and creative. But I think it's important to remember that humor, it's really in the eye of the beholder. What's funny to one person might be totally offensive to someone else.
Absolutely. It's all about context, being aware of how your words might land, even when you're just trying to be funny.
So before you go out there and unleash all your new insult knowledge on the world, remember who you're talking to, the situation you're in, and what the consequences might be. Because even though a well-placed insult can be funny, a bad one can be really hurtful.
Words have power, even when they're meant to be jokes. It's our job to use them carefully.
Well, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of funny insults. We've taken them apart, analyzed their humor, and uncovered some of the social and psychological stuff that's going on beneath the surface.
And we've really wrestled with that big question. What makes an insult funny, not just mean? There are no easy answers, but that's what keeps humor so interesting.
So next time you hear a clever insult, or maybe even find yourself on the receiving end of one, take a minute to think about what makes it work. Notice the wordplay, the social commentary, the way it turns expectations upside down, and who knows, you might even find yourself laughing, even if it's at someone else's expense. Thanks for joining us.